I'm Tovah and thanks for joining. Today's class we'll be doing a nice, gentle, heart-opening flow, and we'll also be getting into a fun pose called Wild Thing. So be ready to get wild. Let's start today's class with our hands on our heart. Standing at the top of your mat, closing your eyes, or just taking a steady drishti or gaze downwards, just relaxing the back of your neck a little bit, keeping your eyes from being active with everything that might be available in the room to you. Just taking this first moment of today's practice to center yourself. And maybe to set an intention for today's practice. And now let's release our palms. Inhale, take a big sweep upwards. And exhale as we move through a nice gentle sun salutation, bending the knees as you bow your head forward. Inhale, lifting partway. Reaching for the floor, hopping or stepping back. And then from knees or toes, melting down towards your mat. Turn the toes under and inhale for a nice gentle cobra. Or feel free to take upward dog if that's part of your practice. Release and press to downward facing dog. Pressing back into the heels. Spreading your fingers wide, rooting all of your knuckles into the mat. Making sure your neck is feeling long and loose here. So if you tip your head to the side, you should be able to touch your ear on your arm bone. Looking to your hands, hopping or stepping there. Exhale, relax your back, fold a little deeper. Let your knees be soft here, your head be heavy. Inhale, big breath, come all the way back to the top. And exhale, pouring through another round of salutation. Lengthening your back as you lift. Exhaling as you reach for the floor, and keep exhaling as you lower, elbows by the sides. Turn the toes under and inhale, shine your heart forward. Exhale into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Drawing the belly button in and up towards your heart, eyes looking towards your ankles. Looking to your hands, hop or step there. Exhale, relax your back, lower your head. Inhale, big swoop, come all the way to the top. And we're taking one more sun salutation here. Exhale, pour front. As we build some heat in our bodies, inhale, looking just ahead. Reaching for the floor, coming back to a high, strong plank as you lower. Inhale, peel away from the floor, lifting one vertebrae at a time. Exhaling as you move to downward facing dog. Shifting the hips way back and up. And if you feel any tension through your lower back or your hamstrings, bend your knees a little bit more. Maybe pedaling your feet a couple of times here, just loosening things off, shifting your hips, moving around a little bit. Looking to your hands, hop or step forward. Exhale, relax your back, lower your head. Inhale, big swoop, come all the way to the top. Bring your hands down to your heart in Anjali Mudra. Centering your breath. Taking a long step back with your right foot, coming into high lunge, Ashvasan Shalasana. Maybe looking up towards the roof here as you lift your arms long and strong. Or please do feel free to look straight ahead or down towards the floor if your balance is more of a struggle. Folding forward, reaching for your mat, stepping back into plank position. Being strong and steady here, making sure that your shoulder blades are not gaping together. We want to push up and away from the floor. Bring your knees gently down to the mat, keeping your knees aligned with your hip as you walk your hands forward to come into puppy pose, bringing your forehead towards the mat. And if puppy pose is a little too demanding for your body, you're going to shift your weight further back towards child's pose. And it could mean that you come all the way back and do child's pose as an option. But anywhere in between is fine. And now let yourself come all the way forward. Bringing your hands forward, elbows underneath the shoulders for Sphinx pose. But we're going to do what's called a Sphinx core roll up here. So we're already in Sphinx. I want you to stretch your toes back, press your elbows into your mat, lift your head gently, and then tuck your chin down towards your chest as far as you can. Keep your toes down and your knees down on your mat as you draw up through your navel, just scooping the tail under and keeping the chin tucked down. You should feel your deep reflexive core muscles engaging right away here. If you notice, you can see I'm shaking just a little. Release the belly to the floor, lifting back up into Sphinx. And then let yourself melt all the way down to your mat. Bringing your hands back underneath your shoulders, press up and back to child's pose. Bringing your forehead down. And then tucking your toes under as you lift your tail to come back to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg into the air. Tuck your knee into your chest as you shift your weight forward. Kick it back up to the roof. And then step your hand, or your foot all the way up to your hand rather, giving a little boost if it needs it. Lower your back knee and you can turn the back toes down if you like as you windmill back towards half camel. Stopping about halfway if that's enough for you, or bringing your hand all the way back to catch your heel, making sure that the front of the hip stays open here. Perfect, windmilling back, stepping up to the top of your mat in one big step or a couple of little ones. Release your back, lower your head, soften your knees, and then inhale, big breath, come all the way back to the top. Draw your hands back down to your heart. Stepping back with the left leg, coming into that high lunge position, really reaching back with the back foot. Arms are long, lifted. Folding forward, reaching for your mat, stepping back to plank. Pausing in plank, making it perfect, making it strong here. And then take your knees gently down to your mat as you walk your hands ahead to come into puppy pose or Anahata Asana. Opening up through the chest and the shoulders. You may enjoy turning your thumbs to the roof. In puppy pose, it's a little bit gentler through the shoulder capsule. And then coming all the way forward onto your stomach, walk your elbows a little further ahead. And to make this Sphinx roll position easier, walk your elbows even further forward. Toes press down, chin scoops in as we peel away from the mat, engaging. This is a small movement, but very effective. Lower the tummy, lifting the head, and then let yourself relax all the way down to your mat. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and press back to child's pose. Just pausing for a breath or two here. And then lifting the hips up as you come up into downward facing dog. Raise your left leg, bring your knee into your chest, shift your weight just forward, and then kick it back up to the ceiling. And now swoop and step it up to your hands or boosting it, making sure that you've got a straight line between knee and ankle. And then we take our back knee down. But of course, if your knees are sensitive to kneeling, you can keep the back knee lifted the whole time. As you windmill back, reaching towards the back heel. And by collapsing in the hip, what I mean is, if you bend into this position in order to get your hand to your heel, that means that's too far of an option for you. So we really want to keep our hips opening forward as we lean back here, which may or may not result in your hand coming to your heel. Perfect, windmilling forward, pressing up on the back toes, stepping up to the top of your mat. Exhale, relax your back, lower your head. And then inhale, big strong breath, soften the knees as you lift to come up with a neutral spine, bringing your hands down to your heart. Stepping back with your right foot, coming back into high lunge here as we lift and we open. And then folding forward, plant your right hand on the floor or use your block here as we twist up with our left hand, reaching to the roof for revolve side angle. Your back knee could come to the ground as an option here. Perfect. Untwist, you're gonna plant both hands to the ground and you're gonna step the front foot all the way back and kick it up into the air. Bend your knee and let your foot fall over your back for three-legged dog. You can choose to stay right here, or as I mentioned, we're getting a little bit wild today. You can walk over into wild thing, and if you're unsure, catch the floor, have a seat for a second, and then press up into that wild thing back bend. And if you're in wild thing, let's wander back over, and everybody bringing both feet back to your mat to come into downward facing dog. Look to your hands, hopper step there. Exhale, relax your back, release your head and neck. Knees are soft. And then inhale, engage, eyes up, chest up as you lift to come all the way up. Bringing your hands back to your center. Centering your breath. Breathing deep. Stepping back with the left leg, reaching up in lunge, maybe finding a small back bend here. And then folding down for the floor, left hand on the floor. And again, you could use your block if this is a challenging pose for you. Try with the block, it'll give you a little more room to rotate as we reach our right arm up towards the roof. Press through the back heel and really lift through the top arm. Untwist, kicking your front leg all the way back, kicking it over your head as you come into three-legged dog. And if you're staying in three-legged dog, remember you want your toes and knees to be pointing straight ahead in this position. If you like, venture on over to wild thing, and remember you can catch the floor and then get ready and lift, looking over your head, maybe waving to me on the monitor. Perfect, flipping back over, bringing both feet squarely back on the ground. Whew, that's as wild as we're getting today. Look to your hands, hopper step there. Exhale, melt forward. Inhale, big swoop, come all the way to the top. Bring your hands back to your center. Moving through that special Sphinx flow, stepping back with the right leg as you lift into lunge, eyes come to the roof if possible. Folding down, reaching for your mat, stepping back into a nice high strong plank. Remember, push through the floor. And then take your knees gently down as you walk ahead, opening your heart in puppy pose. And now shift ahead onto your stomach, walking your elbows at least underneath your shoulders. And if you want to make Sphinx pose gentler, we walk our elbows forward because this is less of a back bend. But if you want to make the roll portion harder, we keep our elbows further ahead. So maybe go ahead and give that one a try if you felt pretty good with the Sphinx roll, elbows a little further ahead. If not, keep your elbows right underneath your shoulders where we started. Draw your chin down, push your toes and knees into the mat as you peel up and away. Take a breath here, don't hold your breath. Release, lift your head, lift your chin, and then let yourself melt down to your mat. Pressing back to resting child's pose, bringing your forehead down, sinking your bum over your heels. And let's press back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Raise your right leg, tuck your knee into your chest, pressing through the floor in this position. Kick it back to the roof and now step it up to your hands. Lower your back knee as you windmill back for half camel. And what this looks like if your knee is not on the ground is it's just a back lunge, reaching back. Perfect, windmill back, stepping the back foot up to the top. Relax your back, lower your head. Taking opposite elbows here as you let yourself just dangle and lengthen, decompressing your spine. Maybe give your head and neck a little shake, like yes or no, your shoulders a little wiggle. Even let your hips have a little movement here. Perfect. Reaching for the floor, stepping back with your right leg and bringing your back knee to the ground. If you prefer a cushion underneath your knee, please feel free to tuck a cushion underneath now. You're going to walk your front foot out to the side just a little bit here, so that it's a little bit wide of your body. So I kind of like mine near the edge of my mat. And then you're going to let your knee almost drift outward here. So instead of being straight, it's going to wander outward, opening through my hip. You can add a little bit of gentle pressure here, and you can turn to look over your back shoulder if you like. So what that looks like from the front is you can see that my knee is out from the side of my body, and this might mean that the big toe side of your foot will come off your mat. It might not. Just don't force your hips into any position here. And if you do feel any pain in your knee, make sure you come back and we just do it into a regular low lunge position. Okay, but for most people, this shouldn't be bothering the knee. The movement is coming from the hip, not the knee joint. And also making sure that your ankle is nice and sturdy and it's not rolling to the side like a rolled or a sprained ankle. It should be nice and firm and straight, so we bring our big toes back towards our shins to help with that. Perfect. Coming back from lizard, stepping your feet up to the top of your mat. Just take your time here. Let your body rest in forward fold for a breath or two as you regroup. And then we're going to step back with the other leg. Take the back knee down. Walk the leg to the side, and that just gives us a whole lot more room for our hips to drop down into this pocket. If my leg is too far in front of me, I'm going to get stuck on my own thigh here. I can't go any further. So really feel that difference when the knee is wide, and if you're not sure how wide to take it, you'll feel the difference when you can drop down that whole extra little bit. Good. Starting to open a little bit more. Maybe turning to look up, maybe just looking straight ahead still, not adding that extra bit of rotation. Taking just a couple more big breaths here. Perfect. Bringing it back, pressing back up into the back toes and stepping up to the top of your mat. Exhale, relax your back, lower your head. Inhale, big, strong breath. Come all the way up. Bring your hands down to your heart. We're moving through that Sphinx flow just on the right side this time, or the left side rather, as we step back with the left leg, coming into a big, long lunge, and then folding forward, coming into plank. Stepping back, finding that strong plank, and breathe here. We don't only want our core to engage when we hold our breath. We need to breathe through it. Take your knees gently to your mat. Walking ahead into puppy pose. Remember, resting child's pose is always an option for you here. Imagine that you're melting your heart towards your mat. Come on ahead onto your stomach. Finding that position for Sphinx as we pause for a breath here. And then readjusting your elbows before we move into the roll. If you want to make it harder, take them farther forward. If you're good where you are, keep them there. As we scoop our chin down, peel away from your mat. Take a nice big deep breath here. Exhale. And releasing back to the floor, lifting your head to come back into Sphinx. And then let yourself lower all the way down. Press the hands underneath as you shift back to resting child's pose. Good, and making your way back to downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg this time. Take your knee into your chest. Kick it back towards the roof and step it up to your hands or boost it there as we move into half camel. Opening up the whole front of the body as we back bend here. Good, and windmilling forward. Stepping up to the top of your mat. Exhale, relax your back, lower your head. And then inhale, swoop to come all the way up. Bring your hands down to your sides. Take a long step back with your right foot, turning it flat to the mat. Your front toes pointing straight ahead as we prepare for triangle pose. Legs are nice and wide, arms stretched out, and legs are straight but not locked here. We want to flex our thigh muscles. Draw your hips back, extend forward, and then bring your hand wherever it just comfortably will reach. And really light pressure here. Breathing. And now bend your front knee, bring the hand onto your thigh or bring it down to your mat. Take your top hand over your head. Still rolling your belly button open like we were in triangle. And then adding a little core challenge if you like here. Either reaching your hand out to the side or out to the front. Breathe. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Bring your hands to center. Pivot your feet just so they're facing the opposite direction here. Stretch your arms back out as you draw your hips back, sliding back into triangle trikonasana. And we want to try to have the side of our waist pointing up to the roof. Eyes looking to the ceiling, but if that bothers your neck, please do look down towards the floor. Bend your front knee, reaching the top arm over as you come into side angle. And side angle could be done with your hand on the floor as well for a harder option, or use your block. And then decide if you want to add that core challenge, either reach your hand out to the side or out to the front, or maybe a little bit both. Perfect. Inhale, come all the way back up. Draw your hands back to your middle. Stepping up to the top of your mat. Ooh, little balance check there. Good. Let's finish our practice today with one nice sun salutation. Inhale, sweeping all the way high. And exhale, pour forward, moving maybe just a little bit slower. Inhale, lengthening your back. And exhale as you reach for the floor, hop or stepping back, melting down. Inhale as you back bend, lift your chin, lift your eyes. And exhale into down facing dog. Taking your knees down to your mat here, coming into resting child's pose, bowing your head, and either resting your head on the floor, resting your head on your hands, or double stack your fists, or even grab a cushion or a block here. And taking this opportunity while you're resting in child's pose to thank your body for everything wonderful that it's done for you today, and thank it for everything that it's going to do, that it's about to do. Allow yourself to rest here as long as feels comfortable. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.